Hello, my name's Alastair and I'm a children's author. I'm the author of these books, Orion Lost and Adam 2, and also picture books such as this one, Inch and Grub, a story about cavemen. And I'm here today to talk about my empathy walk, which I went on as part of the upcoming Empathy Day project. Now, empathy is very important to me. As a writer, it's important that I make my reader feel and understand what my characters are going through. But it's also important because it's a hugely powerful force of social change. Empathy is what drives improvements to our worlds. Social improvements happen when we allow ourselves, when we make ourselves feel what other people are feeling. Now, my walk took place in Flotterson near Edinburgh, and it's a walk that I did with my family and my sister's family and my mum, and we do it every year. We have a picnic and a nice walk, and we go and visit my dad. Last year we weren't able to do it, of course, so this year was very special. So we started with a picnic, and the first thing I noticed was a group at the other end of the picnic area who'd set up a little marquee tent and were having their own family reunion. And it was a mix of first and second and third generation Asian origin. There were grandparents and aunts and uncles and children and toddlers and babies running around. And it was a wonderful mix of generational styles and accents and voices and foods. And as I looked at it, I found myself wondering, what would it feel like to take your family and move them to a completely new country with its own culture and history, and then to try and blend in to that country and take your own culture and history and sort of mix them in to create something new. I found myself feeling very grateful to these people for the inspirations and the ideas and the clothing styles and the food styles and everything else that they've brought in. So we had our picnic and then we went for our walk, and the next thing we spotted were two little frog ponds, and they're made out of little agricultural ditches. They're absolutely perfect circles, about 1 metre across, and they're quite often full of frogs and frog spawns and tadpoles, and they're great fun to look at. And as I looked into these things, I found myself thinking, what would it feel like if you were a little frog in one of these frog ponds? And the frog pond was your whole world. Did any of the frogs ever make it out of their pond and discover the other pond? And if they did, what would they think? Would they be excited? Would they be scared? It would look like their world, but it would be full of completely different people and completely different frogs. And what would those frogs think of them? Would they be hostile or would they be friendly? So we carried on and we reached a sheltered area where there's a tree that's collapsed and it's become a sort of home for insects and birds and small creatures, and little saplings are growing out of it. It's a nice place to sit and look. Halfway up the hill from there is another very important tree. Now, my dad died many years ago, and the year after he died, we came here and we planted a tiny little round tree. And it was a tiny little thing. But these days, it's grown, it's now taller than all of us. And when we look at this tree, we remember Dad. We talk about the things he did, and his jokes and his stories, and about what he might think of us now. We tell our children about him, and he becomes part of the family folklore, part of our culture and history. And these days, when I think of Dad, I quite often imagine him as this tree. So while we sat there, I tried to imagine how he felt, standing on the hillside, feeling the breeze in his leaves, listening to the stream, seeing the wildflowers, and watching his grandchildren grow up into new and wonderful people. And after a while, we carried on and we completed our walk. And then we did the thing which, in fact, we'd been a bit nervous about all afternoon. We hugged. I hugged my sister and my mum, and they hugged me, and it felt wonderful. So that was my empathy walk. But before I go, I'd like to finish with my empathy resolution. Now, I'm sure that many people have felt that their worlds have really shrunk over the past year. And I think it's been easy to feel rather closed in and things, and to develop a bit of a sort of bunker mentality. And I know that I haven't been in touch with my friends and family as much as I really would have liked to have. Just to, get in touch, to chat, to share in their successes and failures, and, just to keep the connection going. So that's my empathy resolution this year, is to try and make more of an effort to keep in touch with my friends and families, to reach out to them a bit more, just to chat, and just to keep that connection alive. I hope that you get to see your friends and families very soon. I hope that you get a chance to go on your own empathy walk and just to set out and see what you see and see the people and trying to feel what they are feeling. And above all, I hope that sometime very soon you get to have a hug. So, thank you very much. Goodbye.